Hello everybody, I'm Patrick Carrion. I'm joined alongside Professor Anthony Lupo. We're going to discuss our first seasonal outlook on this channel. So, Dr. Lupo, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I'm liking the cold weather we're already having. So I'll have more to say about that coming up. So
It's been a change. I'm not as used to, well, I'm from Chicago, so I should be used to fast weather changes, but this one kind of hit me like a train. So
yeah, I think it hit everybody like a train because the first 10 days of November were well above normal, and then all of a sudden now we're far below normal. We had a switch in the pattern just like that, and those things aren't difficult to predict, but the colder temperatures are certainly in line with the season and certainly in line with where we're predicting for this year.
So with your seasonal outlook, what exactly goes into pretty much making it?
Well, when you look at seasonal outlooks, they're mostly statistical, but like with any forecast, forecasting is part science and it's part art. And so there's some experience that goes into any kind of weather forecast, whether it's a short-term or a long-term forecast. And when I say statistics, I mean we look at past winters, and then we look at perhaps what is the 800-pound gorilla of seasonal forecasting, and that is El Nino and Southern Oscillation. Because El Nino and Southern Oscillation really drive the jet stream, and El Nino, Southern Oscillation are at their maximum during our winter season. And so we're in kind of a triple dip, as they call La Nina, 3 straight years of La Nina. And those tend to correlate with winters that can be slightly colder than normal around here, but a lot more snow than typical. So that's kind of what's driving our outlook. The other thing that we look at is teleconnections, which is the connection of weather in one part of the globe to remote parts of the other part of the globe through the action of Rossby waves. And if you look at the Pacific region, there's distinct teleconnections that dominate Pacific weather. And that can, of course, drive the other wild card for wintertime forecasting, and that is atmospheric blocking.
So looking at this year's forecast, like what should people expect for this winter?
Well, for this winter, we forecasted that temperatures will be fairly close to normal, maybe slightly above like last year, just because we're seeing a very similar pattern to last year and a little more snow than normal. And so far it started out that way. Now, what characterized last winter was the constant switching between abnormally mild and abnormally cold weather. And we started off November kind of that way as well. So I'm thinking that we may be seeing a slight repeat of last winter. So
temperature-wise, is there still a chance of, I know the last couple of years we've had those Arctic blasts that have come down and really freeze a lot of areas. I mean, is that going to follow suit for this year as well?
Yeah, I think it will, and I think it will if we continue to see what we've seen in the last 2 months. We've seen the occasional flare-up, if you will, of blocking in the East Pacific and Western North America, west of the Rockies. When you get these blocking ridges, a blocking ridge is an abnormally long-lasting stationary ridge. And what it does is it drives that Arctic air out of the polar regions and into central Canada in the central United States.
And when it comes to snowfall prediction, I know we've been in a bit of a drought. Is there potential for the snow we received this winter to help us in that category?
Absolutely. Any precipitation that we get would be of help. Unfortunately, winter is the time of year when it's driest because it is colder, and of course the ability of the atmosphere to hold water vapor is less in cold air, and so that's why summer is our peak time for precipitation. But the nice thing about snow is that when it melts, especially if it melts slowly and the ground is not too badly frozen, it might sink in and help relieve the drought a little bit.
And with snowfall, are we going to encounter anything that was like, the 2020 season in the beginning of January, where we had those higher snowfall totals? Are we going to see anything like that this year as well?
We may. I think we're going to see more snow than normal around here. And last year we had 3 events that were fairly substantial, one of which was accompanied by some ice on the front end of it. But I think we'll see some snow events this year that will make some news.
All right, and do you have anything else you'd like to mention on your seasonal outlook?
Yeah, when it comes to seasonal outlooks, I would caution people that say it's going to be, say we predict a warmer than normal winter, there's a lot of ways you can get to that. For example, about 10 years ago, we forecast a colder than normal winter, and what happened was December was 6 degrees above normal, January was 2 degrees above normal, and February was 10 degrees below normal. So we were right statistically, but the majority of the winter was mild. And that's the problem you have with long-range forecasting, is you're forecasting an aggregate, and so an aggregate condition, and so there's a lot of ways to get there. And when we say it's going to be above normal, that doesn't mean that every day will be above normal. It just means that the statistics in the aggregate will be above normal. So it may actually be cold. We actually saw that too with the polar vortex a few years ago, that 2 weeks in February was enough to nullify the rest of the winter being warm.
So even like in events like those are kind of the outliers.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. Those are definitely the outliers that can skew the data, or in some cases can save your bacon depending on what your forecast was. So.
Okay, and just another question of, is this a biannual? Is this like you do it 2 times a year? Is it just a summer and a winter outlook, or?
Yeah, we only forecast the solstice seasons, the summer and the winter, because those are the seasons where we notice a strong signal. Spring and fall, the transition seasons, often will mimic either the cold or the warm season. And so it's tougher to get a read on those.
And just one question for myself. This is something that, as a kid, always was important to me. Is there a chance that we'll have a white Christmas in Missouri this year?
Oh, I hope so, because the odds around here are about 3 times every decade. And the last white Christmas we've had in Columbia was 2017. So statistically, we're due.
All right, that's all I've had for you today. Thank you for coming by and talking about your outlook. I'm thinking we're going to do this again in the later part of the spring, or whenever you release your summer outlook, so we can come by and discuss all that to see what we'll expect for the summer. So,
absolutely. We can talk about that before the growing season gets going, and we can hopefully give Missouri's agriculture a heads up on what to expect.
thank you.
You're welcome.